get my 6. It's been several days since I've made a video, or at least since I've appeared in a video. Fortunately, I had the security cameras that are up and all over the property running, and I've been able to give you a couple videos of some really odd things we've captured. And I came out this evening because it's the first time in about 5 days that I've felt well enough to do so, and I wanted to kind of tell you where I've been, why I've been absent. This was not supposed to be a video about him, her, it, or they, but as you can tell, we're not alone. There's something close by, so we'll just have to do this as we always do, and you'll just have to get my 6 and watch the background behind me as I tell you this story. See if you can see what's making this noise. So, yeah, despite hearing footsteps, we're going to venture off into the forest a little deeper. Because, hey, why not? It's what we do. But I want to tell you why I've been absent and let you know I'm okay. I'm very well now. But here's what happened. I guess I've kind of learned more so firsthand that there are certain things in this world that just shouldn't be messed with. And, if somebody tells you a story, if they claim something's true, all right, whatever it is, it stopped. Because of my approach. My gut is telling me I'm being watched. And that I need to proceed with caution, and I will. Especially after what happened the day after Thanksgiving. These leaves are too loud. You're not going to be able to hear me talk if I keep going further into the woods, so keep watching back there. So I hope all of you have had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We had a blast. Had a lot of friends over. The day after Thanksgiving, I went to a friend's house that I had invited to join us at Thanksgiving. He lives just a few miles up the road here. He's an old widower, never had any children. He's probably mid-70s. Great guy. Comes from he's been on his property for generations. Very common here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. A lot of folks around here have been on their land for centuries. This man's one of them. He's kind of a recluse, keeps to himself, doesn't bother anybody. Wonderful person. And I always invite him to many of our gatherings. He's always grateful for the invite, but he never comes. It's not so much that he's antisocial or that he dislikes people. He likes people very much. He's an empath, and we've talked about that before. Many of you who watch these videos are empathic, or at least understand the concept of empathy. And it's basically that the best way to put it is to consider yourself to be a vessel or a battery, more so, that's low, but rechargeable, okay? And you get your charge from the people you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with positive people, you get a positive charge. If you're around negative people, people who are toxic to any degree, your battery will get recharged with negative energy. And it's a very, very bad thing. As an empath myself, I can spend 5 minutes with somebody who is negative, pessimistic, has a crab mentality, the type of people that think, well, if I can't have it, you can't have it either, be it something of material value or simply success or joy and happiness. I can spend 5 minutes with someone like that and feel bad for the next 5 days. So I personally go out of my way to avoid people that I know are negative. This guy has dealt with empathy for much longer than me. He's old enough to be my father. So he just learned early on not to take the risk. So he just doesn't want to get around people he doesn't know out of the fear that they might be toxic, negative, pessimistic, and he just doesn't want to carry that burden. But as a way of kind of showing me, okay, I've circled down to the south from where I was hearing that noise, and now I saw that. Keep watching. I'm slipping into the woods. I'm going to get out here a little bit further and just stop. So to show me that he appreciated my invite, and it was nothing personal, that he didn't come by, he actually asked me to come to his place the day after Thanksgiving, 3 or 4 days ago or so ago. So my beautiful bride Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, and our son Daniel went out with some friends. I think they were doing some early Christmas shopping. I think they were probably early Christmas shopping for me. They didn't want me to go with them. They went with some friends and my buddy. They went with my buddy's wife and their kids. My buddy wasn't allowed to go either, so I think my buddy and I had our Christmas shopping done for us. But this guy had been asking me to come over for lunch, so I went. I had time to kill, and after we ate, we were walking around on his property, and I've been there several times, and it's just 3 or 4 miles away from me. Sometimes I'll see him when I'm running in the mornings or out mountain biking, and if I do, I always stop and say hi for a minute. We were on his property, and he had what appeared to be a well that was boarded up. It looked a lot like my fire pit up here at the campground before I reduced it in size. You watch back there. I saw movement. And I asked, was that one of the original wells on your property? And he goes, well, yeah, but you don't want to drink from that. You don't want to have anything to do with that. That's been boarded up for actually a couple of generations. You want to stay as clear of that well as possible. And I said, why is that? And he goes, well, it's interesting because he watches this channel and he's given me permission to tell this story, just as long as I don't use his name, which I haven't, which I won't. And he said, that was an original wishing well. And I was like, well, hey, let's pop the top off of this thing and throw some pennies down there and wish for a fortune and get rich. And he goes, no. He says, people just don't understand where the concept of, the original concept of wishing wells came from. It wasn't about good luck and good fortune. It was about curses. And I was like, what? And he goes, I know the stories you like to tell on YouTube. This will make a good one for you. He says you might even want to write about it someday. But he said his great, I think, aunt, who was never married, never had any kids, messed around with something she didn't understand because she thought it was a joke, and it came back to get her. And her bones were actually at the bottom of that well, according to the story. And I said, okay, give me the details. I want to hear it all. So he explained to me how the original wishing wells were instruments of black magic, dark magic, and curses at the hands of witches. What the witches would do is they would, if there was somebody who crossed their path, somebody who slighted them, insulted them, somebody who they just didn't like and wanted to see ill will come upon, they would write their name on a slip of paper or carve it into a coin. If your name was carved into a coin by a witch and dropped into that well, you were done for. You would have pretty much a slow, agonizing demise. Very unfortunate demise. Slow and agonizing. It would start with your cows wouldn't give milk. if your hens laid eggs, not the kind that you were hoping to eat for breakfast, but the kind you'd hope that would hatch into chicks so you could continue to grow your flock, they wouldn't hatch. And your hens would just stop laying entirely and you couldn't even get eggs for breakfast. Then you'd become ill, you'd get sick, you'd die from common causes. Back in the day, of course, dysentery, measles, mumps. This is of course back before vaccines. And just, it didn't end well for you. Now, fortunately, if you'd only maybe slighted the witch, if you had done something that was apologetical, meaning that, you could go back and recover, take away that witch's ill will by making an amends, making an apology, your name wouldn't be carved onto a coin. It would just be written onto a slip of paper. The witch would reach into the well and she would put your name into a little crevice on the inside of the well. But if you went back, and like I said, if you made it right, if you offered your apologies, made an amends, the witch would remove your name from the wishing well and you would get better. You would heal. You would cure. You would be cured. And I told him, and it's true, I'd never heard that version of the wishing well stories. I always thought that, you just made a wish. Oh, I want fame. I want fortune. I want $1 million. Throw your coin into the well. And, as legend would have it, it would happen. Of course, I always thought it was all poppycock anyway, based on just urban legend and folklore. I had no idea. Yeah, I see that. Keep your eyes on it and see if it moves. I had no idea it actually originated from witchcraft centuries ago. So the story of this guy's great aunt or whatever was not that she herself was a witch, but that there was a woman, a distant relative, and mind you, a couple hundred years ago, it wasn't uncommon for second cousins or even first cousins to wed. It was common practice everywhere in those days. And we're looking at a time when maybe the entire population of the United States was just a couple of million European settler types. So she had a crush on a guy who was the son of one of these actual witches, but the guy didn't really have a crush back on her. And the woman wasn't the most confident. She didn't really, know how to approach a guy, and only really until the last couple of recent generations has it really been considered in American culture and probably most of Western culture okay for women to be the advancers. So she struggled with this. She wanted to figure out how she could approach this young man that she was just smitten for. Couldn't figure it out, and while she was trying, the young man became smitten with another young lady. And in an act of jealousy would be a better way to put it, because it certainly wasn't her age. She wrote this young man's name down on a slip of paper. I think we're getting further down from where we heard the footsteps, so I'm going to switch hands and maybe start making our way back up this way a little bit. She, in an act of jealousy, she wrote the young man's name down on a slip of paper and stuck it in the edge of that well. Well, the next day, the young man fell ill. He was strong. He was healthy. He was a, farm boy. There was no reason for him to just all of a sudden become ill when he had lived his entire life, a clean bill of health. His mother, the actual witch, who was not mean and evil and wicked, but kind of like a kindly witch. People would often go to her when they had problems that they wanted resolved. Their milk was, or their cow wasn't putting out milk. Chickens weren't laying, hens weren't laying. And she would maybe do some sort of little ritual, do some sort of, whatever chicanery they would do to make things be right again, and it would work. Well, she suspected that somebody had written her son's name down in the side of that well, and put it in the side of the well. So she went out, and sure enough, she stuck her hands down into that well, and she was fiddling around with all the crevices. She found a slip of paper, and there she found her son's name. Problem was, she didn't know who had put it there. So she would kind of loiter around the well, more than she should have. Keep her eye on it, maybe from a safe distance to where she could see who was coming to and fro from the well without being seen herself. She recognized this young lady, my friend's great whatever aunt, and so she knew who it was. She confronted her. She denied it. So the old woman, the boy's mother, wrote that girl's name on the side of the well, stuck it in the well, and her son got better. He healed. But now the girl that had the crush on the son, who, of course the son didn't have the crush on her back, she fell ill. She went to the well looking for her name. The witch was there, expecting her to come, trying to save herself. They got into yet another argument. Push came to shove, and my buddy's great aunt was thrown down the well. And as the story he told me goes, to this day, there her remains lay. It was a great story, and it was well told. If this guy ever decided to be a storyteller on YouTube, people wouldn't come to this channel anymore. I mean, he's really great. For some reason, and when somebody tells me a creepy story or a story that sounds a little far-fetched, I'm not one to, even if I have my doubts, I'm not one to try to discredit that story. I'm not a vertically challenged individual who lives under bridges, so to say. Maybe I was looking for proof. We come out here, we scamper around through the forest, we hear footsteps like we did at the beginning of this video. There's obviously something there, but we can't see it. We all want to know what's going on. We want to know what's going on with all the security camera footage that I capture, these odd things at times. Well, I guess, curiosity killed the cat or whatever. I had a pen on me. I generally have a pen in a pocket somewhere and a scrap of paper. I wrote my name down, and I removed some of the boards from that well, and I stuck my name inside that well. And he told me, he said, "You don't know what you're doing. You should not do that." And I said, well, just for the heck of it, let's give it a shot. So I went home, and the next day, I think it was Saturday, I think I came on here and made one video. Yeah, after Thanksgiving, I think Friday, I made a video about the crab mentality. I always just considered it a loser mentality, but I made the video about the crab mentality, one and the same. Not long after making that video, I found myself pretty much stuck in bed. Not trying to be gross, but I had diarrhea, had a low-grade fever, vomited a couple times, and I thought, well, we had all these people here for Thanksgiving. I got a bug off of somebody. That's all it is. Sunday comes by, same thing. Monday, same thing. Tuesday, hey, go back and look at the channel. I didn't make a video for like 2 or 3 days. My birthday was Tuesday or something. I wanted to come on, and people were giving me birthday wishes on the channel and through various other means. I wanted to thank everybody. I'll thank you now. Thank you for the well wishes. I was too sick. Well, about 3 or 4 hours ago, I got a text from that old guy. I had not talked to him since I was at his place the day after Thanksgiving. And he said, "Do you want me to go remove that slip of paper from the well now?" And I had pretty much forgotten about what I'd done. And I said, "Please, God, yes." About 10 minutes later, he sent me a text back, one word. It said, "Gone." And I fell asleep. I was laying in bed upstairs in the room I use as my office. And I was reading, fell asleep. I don't know how long I was asleep, but what I do know is that I woke up just a short while ago. That's why I'm drinking coffee, even though it's almost dark. And for the first time in about 5 days, I felt like $1 million. And if it wasn't almost dark, for the first time in about 5 days, I'd lace up my running shoes and I'd go for a run. I can't wait to go running tomorrow. I have no fever. I'm not nauseous. I feel better than I've felt in almost a week. And what I've learned from this experience and what I want to pass on to you, if there's any message in this video, it's there are some things in this world that, though we may not understand them, by all means, we certainly have no reason to go messing around with them. See you for more next time.